You know, I've had some words for our friend James Cameron in the past.
You know what? I'm serious, James. You need to stop f***ing up your art. You don't want people complaining about grain structures? How about you try to not remove all the f***ing grain? You filmed this on film. Be proud of it. And yes, James Cameron going through and CGI and all of his characters' faces flat and everything is wrong. It's as bad as George Lucas throwing Jabba the Hutt back into New Hope. Just f*** it all up. James Cameron does the exact same thing. F*** you, James Cameron. You are just as bad as George Lucas, and we need to start calling you out on this shit.
As you've probably seen in the title, I have a beef with James Cameron. We had all of these 4Ks coming out and stuff, and everybody's going, The Aliens looks awful, Terminator 2, terrible, True Lies, CGI beyond all belief.
This film is riddled with DNR, that's noise reduction, and some edge enhancement. Most of the film has a very waxy, smooth look, most notably on faces. Where you'd normally expect facial lines and wrinkles, you're just gonna get a nice, smooth, wax-like appearance. Details on roads, buildings, background elements came through very soft and slightly out of focus. There are some brief moments where you can pick up some extra details, like on clothing textures and hair, but overall clarity is a hot mess.
The image demonstrates a big increase in detail and resolution, naturally, but there is bizarre smoothing going on with the actors' faces in a large number of shots, and some moments the film looks out of focus, which was not apparent on the previous transfers, making for an uneven picture throughout.
It's just smoothed up and touched up just a little bit too much. And again, it's the same as True Lies. It's the same as Abyss.
So let me tell you, when Warner Brothers said, we're bringing out the first Terminator on 4K, you know what my first thought was? No thank you, sir. You can't fool me that many times. I've seen enough people on YouTube condemn this thing all to high hell. There's no way in...
The original Terminator on 4K thankfully will go down as a solid and less controversial entry of the Cameron films on the format.
What's that?
Colors are more vibrant. It is definitely sharper. There's still film grain there.
Oh, it looks decent.
I was so super impressed with this. It blew my mind.
Like, really good?
For James Cameron stuff, for the people that love film, for all the mom's basements people like we are, you know, that love that kind of stuff that he made fun of, you can look at this and say, this is incredible.
Huh. Well, today's movie is Terminator from 1984. Son of a bitch, James Cameron, why do you do this to me? Why do you keep putting out horrible stuff and then all of a sudden you screw around and you do something right? I like this slipcover edition here and everything, but I thought I was going to get the like when it first was announced, I thought I'll get the 4K Steelbook that looks like this guy right here. Seemed like a good thing, but then all of the reviews came out and said it was awful, or all of the subsequent Cameron movies were awful. So I was only to assume that this one was going to be especially being the oldest of those films, I imagined this one, of all of them, would have absolutely horrible just denoising and just the James Cameron effect, if you will. I was sure that this thing was going to be replete with that. And son of a bitch, if they didn't give us one of the best looking 4Ks we've had in a while. So Terminator is a 1984 movie that I'm sure we've all seen, but let's be honest, I don't know, if you're of a certain age, you probably saw Terminator 2 first before you even saw Terminator. So the nice part is like going back, especially if you're somebody who's mostly seen Terminator 2, maybe you saw Terminator back in the day, but like it's kind of considered the lesser of the Terminator films and stuff until you get into the subsequent ones. But people were always like, Terminator 2 way better than Terminator just because of the, you know, the effects upgrade here and everything. Years have gone by. But I gotta say, Terminator really holds up. It is not too bad, and this 4K disc is a fantastic representation of the work. James Cameron's not screwing us this time. I cannot believe it. First and foremost is going to be the picture quality. The picture quality for this thing, as I said, was remarkable. It looks fantastic. There's still just a nice bit of grain throughout everything. Specular highlights are fantastic. There's so much fire and explosions and stuff in this movie. So when those things happen, you really get to see this whole disc just flex its muscles and stuff like that. It is really, really great. Now, James Cameron, in a couple of his early films and everything, was doing a lot of rear projection and front projection as opposed to what would later become green screen and blue screen. So you're gonna see a couple of spots in this movie that look like they could be crummy composites. But they're honestly about as best as you could do. There were a lot of movies like really in the late 90s and stuff that came out like your The Matrix and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, where some of the composites were really janky and stuff. And upon those re-releases on physical media and stuff, they've really upgraded those composites, made them look a whole heck of a lot better. This movie you're going to have a little bit more of a difficult time doing something like that with, because it was actually projected on a screen while they were doing the, action that was on screen, the live action stuff. And then, for example, towards the end there and everything, when the Terminator skeleton is coming at them as they're trying to close the door. So that's them reacting to a screen that's being shot. So a movie is being shot from a stop motion Terminator that they did earlier. And it looks a little bit janky, but for 1984 and for a transfer over to 4K and everything, it looks as good as it possibly could. Now, sometimes that also comes out to its disadvantage as well. So obviously, 1984, we got a $6.5 million budget, right around there on this bad boy. We'll call it $6 million. The budget for this thing is high for what it is, but still fairly low overall at $6 million. So your makeup effects and stuff are a little bit crummy and kind of stand out a little bit more in 4K because you can see all the seams that are going through there. Sometimes a little 4:3 television with some pan and scan helps alleviate all of that nonsense. But here you can actually see it. But at the same time, too, what I enjoy about it is that it really shows Jim Cameron as a filmmaker of realizing, hey, listen, I'm going to show you that this guy that you thought was a human this entire time is a robot. We're going to show you the eye and how everything is messed up. But obviously you can't walk around with a fake head the entire time, so we put the sunglasses on, a really ingenious way to get from having to do the makeup the entire time. And then eventually, when you have the full head of, laying out and everything, it works well enough for what it is, but I gotta say, you forgive all of it, because it's 1984, but it looks as good as it possibly ever has. Again, one of the cool things about this movie, going back and being a kid that grew up watching Terminator 2 a billion times, but didn't really watch Terminator 1 all that much, is how much of a table set that James Cameron really put out and how much that he echoed and paid off in Terminator 2. It kind of makes you mad that he hasn't been telling this Terminator story himself the entire time and let other people do it with Terminator 3 and all the subsequent ones. Why hasn't James Cameron himself really been behind the crux of this? Because really, when you think about it, he laid out such a fantastic world in this. This movie is a lot of fun. You really get to see James Cameron's camera work here and everything with such little budget and whatnot. The things he was able to do, unbelievable. Just like so much of the car chases and stuff like that are done right there in Los Angeles. The tanker truck blowing up, all this very, very cool stuff. And he did it with just nothing. Like I said, picture quality is fantastic, but audio is unbelievably good. I was shocked. I'd heard other people talk about how good the audio was, and a lot of those people admittedly only had sound bars and stuff. Myself having, your 5.1.2, holy crap, is it really fantastic. Helicopters, that's all I'll say to you. That when you can really see, there's tons of helicopters in the movie itself. And so you're going to hear a lot of those helicopters coming over you and everything. And the cool part is like it feels like they also kind of dim some of the other things. So you very specifically know, because a lot of times they hide the Atmos channels, and this one they kind of let you know what's going on there. It's really great. And great performances by Linda Hamilton, but let's be honest here, Michael Biehn's kind of the one that's really getting it done with everything. Arnold's quiet, and thank God we just kind of stuck him in that particular role with this one, but Michael Biehn's kind of killing it here, and he is really the reason why this movie works as well as it does. Michael Biehn is the reason this movie works, like Linda Hamilton is the reason that Terminator 2 works. Pretty integral to everything here. Again, it had been a while since I had seen this one, and I will tell you, if it had been a minute since you have seen it, you will do yourself a giant favor and check it out. It is available on 4K right now. So that is Terminator from 1984, directed by James Camron, and I'll see you next time.